Hi, and welcome to A Walking with Darren. Charlie says hello. He's still staying with my sister, and his people won't talk to my people, so that prima donna doesn't want to go for a walk with me. Anyway, but Charlie's doing fine. He sends his regards. So I wanted to get reconnected. It's been a little while since we chatted, because quite a lot's been going on in the markets if you've been watching. But if you haven't, that's okay too, because markets are basically flat on the year. But what a ride it's been. So in February, we hit an all-time high in most markets, really driven on the backs of the Magnificent Seven. And Christian and I've talked quite a bit in the past about how we were getting concerned that such a small number of companies were really driving all of the market indexes to new highs. So the market did decide to sell off and have a correction of those seven back in February. Now, from February up until about April, markets were already down about 12%. And then President Trump decided to have his Liberation Day where he brought out his big boards and talked about tariffs. Well, markets didn't really like that very much, and they proceeded to go into bear market territory. And over the next 6 weeks, they sold down to being over 20% down across the board. So pretty scary if you weren't really looking at the bigger picture. So we kind of decided not to do anything because we've talked many times before that we just don't do panic here. And that turned out to be the right thing to do, because over the next 6 weeks, markets kind of rallied back, and they're kind of back to where they started. So as I said earlier, markets are kind of flat on the year, so lots of volatility. But if anyone sold, there were trillions of dollars lost potentially as people decided to panic. So the right thing to do, as it's always been, is really not do anything. Now, I do appreciate that it was tough for some people, because some of the declines we saw in the speed with which they happened were kind of on par with things we haven't seen before, like COVID, or the Lehman bankruptcy in 2008 or 2009, or even Black Monday in terms of the severity. But as we've learned from some of those things, and if you've been paying attention since a whole bunch of things since then, the right thing to do usually is nothing. So that's what we did. And the speed of these things, by the way, and I was saying this to Christian at the time, I said, this crisis is going to be over so fast, we're not really going to get a lot of opportunity to profit from it. So, and sure enough, that was true. We didn't really get a lot of stuff on sale for very long. But we keep to maneuver around and see where we can find some opportunities. But as I say, we just don't do panic here. Now, there was a big casualty, I'd argue, from this tariff tantrum, and I would say that that was the Canadian election. You know, Canada was going into this election cycle looking to hold some people accountable for what really has been a pretty crummy decade. And I can show you lots of charts and graphs over just how bad it's been in terms of productivity, debt load, costs, all kinds of things. So it looked like Canada was going to decide to make a change. But then we decided that maybe fighting Trump and the tariffs and this whole issue about sovereignty was really the key issue we wanted to talk about. So we went into this whole elbows up thing and really decided we wanted to make a change. Now, hopefully we get one, because Canada really can't afford to repeat the economic performance of the last 10 years. So we have a new leader. We have most of the same team on the ice, so this will be interesting to see how this happens. But I would argue that it is time to get very serious. And if you want to have a parallel story that we're watching right now, it's the decline and the demise of the Hudson's Bay Company. And if you read the story of Hudson's Bay and how it's collapsed over the last 10 years, there's a lot of parallels between what that company did to mistakes Canada might be making. Now, it may not be too late to get out of them, but as Hudson's Bay discovered, you reach a point where it's too late, and it's just too late. So, moving on to something else. Now, fortunately, I want to thank all of you for being extremely well behaved. By the way, you see I have notes. I don't have to walk a schnauzer, so I can keep my notes with me. I want to thank all of you for being extremely well behaved. Pedro and Nick tell me we really didn't have anyone calling concerned about markets or volatility. Everyone was really well behaved. So thank you very much for listening to our stories and our conversations and our lessons over the last bunch of years. And I'd say all of you have become really, really strong investors, because no one panicked. Now, I want to get ahead of something so that I don't get these phone calls, because we haven't had any yet, but I just want to get ahead of it, which is gold. We're starting to hear some people in the press and some of the strategists talk about allocating to gold because it's a great inflation hedge and it's really good in times of tremendous economic and market uncertainty. And I just have to call BS to that, because it isn't actually true. Gold might be a trade, but it's not a great long-term investment. And I'm going to show you a couple of charts in a second here to show you what gold actually has done over a longer period of time. And I'm going to go back to 1980, and I picked that, it's about 45 years ago almost, that I picked the year, so, and the month. But I want to pick that because that's the last time we had extremely high inflation and lots of economic uncertainty. So gold from now to then, here's the chart. Take that in for a minute. Yeah. And you can see that kind of since 2000, gold has been on a bit of a rip. But you also need to notice that gold has this really unfortunate characteristic where sometimes it just kind of lies there doing nothing for a long time in terms of its economic movement or its price movement. Now, People do say gold is an inflation hedge, and that's true. Over the long period of time, gold does basically keep up with the CPI, which is the measurement of inflation. But what else might be doing as well or better than that? And now I'm going to overlay another chart, and I want to show you how gold is done comparing to the S&P 500, which are the 500 largest companies in the United States. Here we go. Now, you tell me, which one would you rather put your money in? So I'm going to argue that gold is actually a pretty crummy store of value and inflation hedge. Wonderful businesses, as you can see, are vastly better. And just to give you some numbers behind this, so since 1980, gold is up 4.3%. Inflation is up 4.1. The S&P 500 is up 51 times. Let me repeat that. Gold is up 4.3 times. Inflation is up 4.1 times. The S&P 500 is up 51 times. And by the way, this is not including dividends. Gold doesn't pay any dividends. The S&P 500 has been paying strong dividends. So I'm really handicapping the S&P 500's performance here. And just to give you some dollar amounts behind that, in 1980, gold was $800 an ounce. Today, it's about $3,500 an ounce. $800 invested in the S&P 500 is now $120,000. Again, that's not even including dividends. So I just want to get ahead of that gold story, because the only people that seem to like gold are people that are also hoping for the end of the world. So that's not us, because again, we don't do panic here. So I just want to get at the gold conversation. If you want to talk about gold again, we might use it as a trade, but that's about it. It's not something I believe in allocating to longer term. Okay, a couple of other quick updates for the team. We've all settled into the new office, which I'm really pleased about. So everybody's just delighted. We're back to everybody being in and really kind of putting the whole COVID work from home thing behind us. You know, obviously we can still have flexible work arrangements, but the ability for us to be together has really been great. So we've got a few more finishing touches to put on it, but we're in and we're functional, and I promise I will give you a bit of a tour. We've had some new additions to the team. So some of you may have already spoken to Kathy, who joins us to help with the administration. She comes us from the 53rd, which is the branch I used to run in downtown Toronto. So very skilled, and really pleased that she joins us and works for you. We have a new person starting tomorrow, which is his first day. His name is Alex. He'll be joining us as a junior advisor, working alongside Nick and Pedro. So really pleased that he's joining us, and as at the early stage of his career, so we bring some youth and vitality and some excitement to the team. So great that he's got a little bit of experience on him, but he'll get a lot more working with us. And then I have another surprise coming for you. It's actually a wonderful one. Not quite ready to unveil it to you yet, but we've been working on a big thing for you that I really and will be really pleased to share in the next few weeks or in the next month. We have a few things we got to get done before I can tell you about it, and that'll bring another person onto our team, and I'm really going to be thrilled to share it with you. It's kind of, I say, be the next evolution of our growth in our firm, and yeah, I can't wait to tell you. Anyway, with that, I want to say have a great summer. I'm actually going to be having a bit of a busy summer. I'm taking my mom to France next, in 2 weeks actually. So Mom had made a comment to me just in passing back around Christmas time that she'd really like to see Paris one day. So I said, Mom, I guess I'm taking you to Paris. So Mom and I will have a nice trip, just the two of us, going to France. It'll be great to spend some time with her. Will be interesting because we can't even do an hour at Costco together, so this ought to be a fun trip. And what else? I have to get a shoulder surgery in July. I've got a problem with my rotator cuff, so that's actually going to put me out of commission for a little while, but I think the team will be happy that I get to stay in the office and just drive them crazy for a little bit of time. So with that, I want to wish you a great summer. I'm out here with my jacket on in June because of the global warming. Anyway, it is what it is. So with that, I want to wish you a great day. Talk to you soon.